Season 1 Reloaded for Black Ops 6 Zombies brought us a bunch of new content, one of which is the returning perk of VULTURES. Let's break down this perk, all the major and minor augments, because you're probably using the wrong ones. Let's go. Okay, so is this an absolute crutch of a perk here in Black Ops 6 Zombies, or is it merely just a gimmick? I have been doing hours of testing, going through all of the minor and the major augments here for this brand new perk, and I gotta say, I got some pretty surprising numbers on a few of these, and this is probably one of the best analytic videos that I've ever compiled on this channel, so I do hope you enjoy it. Let's get right into everything after a quick word from this video's paid sponsor. Messy Modding is a safe and legitimate gaming service company that supplies services to not just Call of Duty, but for over a dozen other games. If you're looking for help with the dark matter or nebula grind, bot lobbies, and more, go to check out Messy Modding using the link in the description down below and let them do all of the hard work for you. Use my code COOL to save 5%. Back to the video. Okay, a couple of these I just kind of want to talk about for a few seconds and then just kind of move on because there's not a ton to do. The first one being the Fetid Upgrade. Now, this one basically just creates a gas cloud that you can stand in, which will charge your field upgrade faster. So I'm going to go ahead and burn my field upgrades here so we can go ahead and stand inside of one of these gas clouds and just see how quickly we are able to start rebuilding our field upgrades. Okay, so we went ahead, we got a gas cloud here. I'm going to go ahead and stand in it, and I'm going to zoom in here and just watch how quickly this ticks up. We spend about 7 seconds roughly inside of this gas cloud, and we got maybe a little under 1/4 of our way toward our field upgrade. Now, these gas clouds will last 15 seconds on the map, so if you're able to stay in them for the full 15 seconds, you can make some pretty decent progress toward getting your next field upgrade. And these do trigger relatively often. They trigger more often than the smell of death, which we're going to talk about just a little bit later on here, but definitely a decent choice as far as the major augments are concerned, because there's not a whole lot to choose from the major augments. Most of the augments that you really want to talk about and break down are going to be the minor augments for this perk, so we're going to spend a lot more time on those than we are on any of these other major augments. Okay, so the next one we're going to take a moment here to talk about is Smell of Death. So on death, zombies have a chance to create a gas cloud that will conceal you while standing in it. So basically you just kill some zombies, another different type of gas cloud rather than the Fetid Upgrade will appear on the map. This one's a little bit more faint, a little bit more bigger, but when you stand inside of that gas cloud, the zombies will not pay attention to you. They will start to move in the opposite direction. Now, these gas clouds will last for a total of 10 seconds on the map from the time that they come into the map to the time that they start to fade away. Now, I was doing most all of this testing using the directed mode, and I was getting one of these gas clouds about every 2 rounds. So about every second round, I would get one of these gas clouds. But when it came to the Fetid Upgrade for the field upgrade, I was getting at least one of those, maybe 2 of those in each particular round going on here, round 11, which contains about 35 zombies in each round. Occasionally, I would get 34 zombies. For the most part, there's 35 zombies. So maybe about every 70-ish kills or so, you can expect to get one of these Smell of Death gas clouds, whereas about maybe one every 25 to 30 kills, you could expect to get one of the Fetid Upgrades. And then for our final major augment, we have Parting Gift, where the VULTURES ammo drops give you more ammo toward your wonder weapon. Now, a couple of things that we need to throw out there. This will not work on the jet gun. This will not work on the swords over on Citadel de Mor. It will only work on the ray gun and the beam smasher. The testing that I'm showing you here is with the ray gun. When you do not have this major augment turned on, when this major augment is turned off, I was getting anywhere from 1 to 2 rounds of ammunition out of the ammo packs with the VULTURES ammo drops. Now, I'm going to play you 2 clips in slow motion where you can see that I'm picking up ammo drops, but I'm getting 2 very different sets of numbers, one of which I got 12 rounds and one of which I got 10 rounds when I picked up these ammo packs. So as a whole, though, with Parting Gift, I would say this is definitely a major augment that is absolutely 100% not worth you running inside of Black Ops 6 Zombies. Honestly, this should be a very minor augment. If it worked on the jet gun or worked to help charge the swords a little bit faster over in Citadel de Mor, then I think that this would be a whole lot more worth it. But as it stands right now, the way it currently functions inside a game, I I would stay far, far away from parting gift. Now, before we start diving into all the numbers and analytics of the other two of the minor augments, let's talk about Condor's reach. Auto pick up loot from further away. So you can see we have to be pretty much right on top of the loot whenever you do not have this Condor's reach on. In order for you to pick it up, you're pretty much right there, right on top of it in order for you to pick up that loot. We all know that's what we have been having in this game since the very launch of the game, so that is nothing new. You pretty much got to run directly over anything. However, once you put on Condor's reach, everything changes at that point. You can be almost double, maybe a little bit more than double the distance from an item in order to pick it up. So this is absolutely a wonderful minor augment here for VULTURES 8. It's going to let you pick up a whole lot more items across the map. And it is definitely a very underrated augment, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that here at the end when I kind of give my final thoughts here on all of these augments for VULTURES 8. And that's going to bring us to the analytic portion of this video. So Carryon luggage critical kills have a chance to drop extra salvage, and picky eater, which is on death, zombies have a higher chance of dropping your current equipment. Now this required a whole lot of testing, and I did a lot of testing, and I even got the Google spreadsheets, probably some of the nicest ones that I've ever made. Again, they are not donuts level, but they're pretty nice though anyway, and it took a lot of work to get these. So let's go ahead and dive into all of these numbers and see which one of these is actually worth using right now in Black Ops 6 Zombies. Okay, so the way I did this testing here is we hopped into the directed mode over in Liberty Falls. I played at round 11. There are 35 zombies that spawn in each round on round 11. I played 10 rounds without VULTURES 8. I played 10 rounds with VULTURES 8, just the base perk with no augments. I played 10 rounds with the Carryon luggage, and I played 10 rounds with picky eater. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to cover, and I tracked everything from the salvage, critical kills, equipment drops, and everything. So we're going to go ahead and cover what all these numbers are going to mean here for us when it comes to which of these minor augments is going to be the best one for you to be running here with VULTURES 8. So looking first at our 10 rounds without using the VULTURES 8, this is just me and my base Model L weapon, and I did use the same weapon throughout all of this testing. We averaged 355 salvage. We'll round that down to 350 salvage per round, and my critical kills were 33.4, which I'm pretty sure I was in the average of 33 on every single one of these blocks of testing here that we did. But one thing that I did keep track of here as well is the number of equipment drops that these zombies were dropping. So things like grenades or decoys, Molotovs, things like that. Anything that the zombies were dropping, I kept track of how many they were dropping in each round. And you can see they dropped an average of 1.8 items for each of the runs. And of course, this number is going to be very important when we factor it into the future. And I also tracked during this the number of drops that I got of my own current equipment that I had equipped, and well, it was 0. So, you know, not a whole lot to look at there. Then when we go ahead and we put on the base form of VULTURES 8, this is VULTURES 8 without any perks whatsoever, you can see our average salvage goes up to 380. That is up just slightly from 355 that we got without it. So maybe there's a little bit of change into the amount of salvages you actually get, but that is also within margin of error here, as there is a little bit of RNG involved anyway in what salvage drops and when. My critical kills stayed right about the same. We're right in the 33. We're still in the margin of error there. When it comes to equipment drops, which is the most important thing here when it comes to VULTURES 8. So I added a second column out here, and this is the special drops. And this is the only time I really tracked these special drops was during this 10 round run. And these special drops are the little 10 essence and the little miniature ammo cache, or the ammo supplies that they drop once you get the VULTURES 8 equipped. So that's what is under the special drops. You get an average of 6.4 of those per round. And as far as regular equipment drops are concerned, we actually saw a very slight decrease of 1.5 on average for the actual equipment drops, the grenades and decoys and whatnot. So this is also can be within margin of error. So I wouldn't really factor this in too much, but I would say that you're not really getting too much of a base increase with VULTURES 8 on extra equipments that are dropped, but we did get a couple of our own Molotovs this time, so you know that was good. But what you're really getting with VULTURES 8 is you're getting all those special drops, you're getting those ammo drops and those little miniature essence drops that you get from killing zombies. So now that we got a really good base, we can go ahead and take a look at Carryon luggage. So Carryon luggage here, we saw a massive increase in the total of salvage that we got here. We got an average of 480 salvage, which we can round that up to 500 salvage per round. And that's an extra 150 salvage per round that you are getting overall, which means through 10 rounds of this, that's an additional 1,500 total salvage that you're getting versus not running VULTURES aid whatsoever and not running the Carryon luggage minor augment, that is, because this, once you're hitting those headshots, and you see our headshots stayed right about the same, 33.2, so not a whole lot of variability there, but it does require critical kills in order to increase your chance of getting additional salvage drops from these zombies, but it's going to be roughly a 10 to 15% boost in the amount of salvage that you can get as long as you're hitting critical shots. So that's making this a very viable option. That's a lot of extra salvage. If you're thinking about going to high rounds, think how many tens of thousands and tens of thousands of extra salvage and how many extra score streaks that you're going to get from that just simply by using the VULTURES aid Carryon luggage. But of course, once you get to the high rounds, you know, you're not getting as many headshots. You're using different ways to kill the zombies, so you're not going to be getting those extra salvage drops. So you got to kind of balance that somewhere and kind of figure out what matters to you the most. But the one thing that everybody is completely talking about on the internet right now is the Picky Eater. So this is the one that is supposed to drop you more of your own personal equipment. Now, this one took me a lot of testing to do. I did a lot of testing with this Picky Eater to try to figure out just how well this Picky Eater actually works and, you know, what its actual purpose in the game is. So we know it's supposed to give you the equipment that you choose. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is this column right here where it says common equipment. This was me running decoy grenades and Molotov cocktails. And I did 10 rounds with me running decoys and Molotov cocktails. And you see, we got an average of 1.8 of the decoys in Molotov cocktails per round. So it basically was the exact same average. When you go back up here to the no VULTURES aid, we got an average of 1.8 drops over the course of our 10 rounds. So that same 1.8 drops we still get using Picky Eater, but this time it was the equipment that we were currently using. It was a mixture of decoys and Molotov cocktails. So the perk is definitely working 100% as it seems. But I did see a video on the internet, and I'm not trying to call this out. I'm not being that person, but I did watch Lego's video talking about this perk as well. And he was talking about the ability to get Casimirs over and over and over and over again using Picky Eater. So I decided to go ahead. All right, I'm going to throw on some Casimirs. So for the next 10 runs here, I put on Casimirs. I went ahead and equipped those and tracked how many of those Casimirs that I got. I was also running Molotov cocktails with those as well when I was running the Casimirs for the course of these 10 runs here. And as you can see, only in run number 8 here did we get a Casimir, and we got one. So out of all of these rounds, we were able to get one Casimir device while we were still getting Molotov cocktails at roughly the same rate that we would expect to get them while using the Picky Eater. We only got one Casimir device. Then these next two columns here, you can kind of ignore these. This was me just putting decoys back on. I played 3 more rounds just to make sure, you know, that it was actually working, and would drop me the tactical equipment to begin with. And of course you can see it was the column 1 there was my decoys, column 2 was the Molotov, so it was dropping me my decoys. So I went ahead and I'm like, okay, that wasn't the problem. It wasn't the game being bugged and not dropping me any tactical equipment. It was the fact that it just was not dropping me any Casimir grenades. So then I got to thinking, well, you know, Lego made his video. He was over on Citadel Day More. So I'm like, well, maybe I need to be over on Citadel Day More in order to get this to work, in order to get this game to give me more Casimir devices when I have the Picky Eater augment on. So I headed on over to Citadel Day More, and I played 4 rounds all the way to round 16. Yeah, it's not a super high round, but I don't have all the time in the world to do all of this testing. But I made sure that I bought the perk on round 6, each one of those 4 games. So I bought it on round 6, played 10 full rounds on Citadel Day More with the VULTURES aid Picky Eater augment on, and again I got one Casimir device on the final game that I played. And actually I believe the final round that I played, I finally got a Casimir drop. So I am not seeing any correlation here that this perk is actually going to work with Casimirs and monkey bombs. Maybe it was working for a very brief period and Treyarch did a hot fix and it no longer is a thing because they're like, oh, you know, shit, this could really break our game. That's very much a possibility, but I was 100% unable to replicate those results whatsoever. Okay, now don't go clicking off just yet. Give me just a couple more minutes of your time because I do have a couple of final thoughts that I really do want to share here on this VULTURES aid perk, because I think there's a couple of really viable ways that you can run this perk. When it comes to the major augments, unless you are going to be using the Beam Smasher and you're going to be using it a lot over on Terminus Island, there is absolutely no reason for you to use the Parting Gift whatsoever. But if you are going to be doing high round runs over on Terminus Island and using the Beam Smasher a lot, then I would definitely recommend using the Parting Gift and help yourself out with that Wonder Weapon ammo. Otherwise, that one is completely worthless. If you're not using either one of those and Wonder Weapons really aren't your thing, then I would probably stick to the Smell of Death. While the Fetid Upgrade is pretty good at recharging your field upgrade, it honestly just isn't worth it trying to get yourself into that tiny little cloud all of the time and just to recharge your field upgrade. Maybe just run the Smell of Death and you'll have a little chance here every now and then to give yourself a break when you're quite possibly been overrun with zombies. But if you really don't like that and you don't want the zombies ever running away from you, then go ahead and just do a Fetid Upgrade and get yourself the field upgrades just a little bit faster. But the biggest thing that I really wanted to mention here was with the minor augments. I'm going to say, and this is going to be a very controversial thing, and I think a lot of you are going to disagree with me, and if you do, let me know down in the comments down below. But now that I have done all of the testing here and have found that what Picky Eater can actually do, I think that I'm going to steer clear of Picky Eater. While it could be good in some circumstances, it could be really good. It's not giving you those very rare items very often. And without those, then I honestly don't really want it. I don't need the decoys and the Molotovs and things like that often when I'm playing the game. So I'm not going to get a ton of advantage to it. But my very controversial pick as the minor augment that you should be running is Condor's Reach. That extra amount that you can reach out and grab all of those items. The best thing about VULTURES aid is the little essence and especially the little ammo drops that come from the zombies. But they do not stay on the map for very long. They despawn extremely quickly, anywhere between 5 to 8 seconds. I've tried to measure it, but it does seem to vary a little bit, so I don't know what makes it vary a little bit, but they're only there for about 5 to 8 seconds. And if you're fighting off an entire horde and they're right on top of you and you can't get back to where you just killed those zombies, well, then you're not getting any benefit whatsoever from running VULTURES aid. But if you got that horde and you're pretty much right up on them like you're going to be most of the time, you're just going to pretty much auto suck up all of that loot as they drop it. And you're going to get a whole lot more of those ammo pouches and you're going to get a whole lot more of those little 10 essence drops. I might be incredibly insane for thinking this way, but let me know. Let me know down in the comments. Am I crazy or are you going to do it too? Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Cole Whip and I'm out.